Hey everyone, what is going on? Welcome back to the channel. My name is Brian. Today we have a really exciting video. I know it hasn't been that long since we reviewed batches 4 or batches 5 of K-Luke. Today, we are talking about the upcoming releases of the K-Luke Toasted Barrel Strength Bourbon and the Toasted Barrel Strength Rye. Now, this is apparently batch 2 of the Barrel Strength Rye, even though I wasn't able to find anything about it as I was doing some digging. The first batch now of the Barrel Strength Bourbon. Let's go ahead and run down some stats real quick. First, with the rye. This is an Indiana rye coming in at 116.8 proof. Jonathan from K-Luke and Maisano's Fine Wine Spirits said that he found floral forward Indiana ryes that he used to mix with these toasted barrels. And in regards to the bourbon, they did a batch much like batches 1 through 5 that we've seen already in regards to the barrel strength, and then did a toasting of that also. So I'm going to expect nothing on the ryes because I've not had the ryes before. And I am going to expect flavors similar to what we have had in batches 4 and 5 that you've seen on the videos, just toasted. Let's go ahead and dive in. I figured there's not much reason to do 2 different videos for this. Why not talk about them both here? And then I might make a mention when it comes to the Toasted Barrel Strength Bourbon back to one of the previous batches just to see how it changes toasted and non-toasted. While I have you here, jump down below, give me a thumbs up, subscribe to the channel if you haven't. Let me know if you've tried K-Luke before, and if you have, what your favorite product has been. Go ahead and start with the bourbon. Ooh, man, the bourbon has some of the familiar nosing notes that I've mentioned in some of the batches before. Nice fruitiness. Man, it's got this kind of chewy raisin, fig, date-like chewy dark fruit note in there. Dried fruit, raisin, plum, date, like sugar-coated black raspberry. But it's also underlying with kind of sweet honey notes, sweet, glazed donut-like notes. I think I mentioned that in one of the previous videos. And then a lot of peppery spice as well. Go ahead and dive in on the palate of this bourbon. Man, the palate is deep with nice brown sugar notes, meets like a chocolate pudding, or it's not quite semi-sweet chocolate, but there's some sort of desserty-like chocolateness to it. Like, again, chocolate pudding. It's kind of thick, it's kind of heavy the way it sits on the tongue. A big surge of mint, a big blast of pepper comes through. And a fresh, really slightly perfumed, seasoned wood, really enjoyable there. Without comparing to the batch not toasted, it doesn't taste like other toasted bourbons to me. Other toasted bourbons have a toast flavor to it, and sometimes I don't really like that, but this just kind of reminds me of a more balanced, a smoother experience than I had in the barrel strength bourbon batches already. So instead of maybe the extra toast, the extra heavy charness, what it adds to this is just some depth and longevity to the spice that you might be prone to find in the K-Luke barrel strength bourbons. Finish has a really enjoyable dry oak, and then some drier spices like cinnamon and allspice. Let's quickly compare to batch 4 of the regular K-Luke not toasted barrel strength bourbon. Oh man, that's really hard. I think that you're going to find a spicier, maybe a bit more grain, maybe a bit more ethanol bite to either batch 4 or 5 of the barrel strengths. And again, I've not had the previous ones yet to be able to compare, but I feel like there's a little bit more heat, a little bit more bite that is noticeable in them. But with that extra bite, that extra heat, there are some nuances that I really like. There's some interesting fruit notes. There's some interesting softer spices. There's some softer sugary sweetness notes and some softer floral herbal characteristics that get masked in the toasted version. That said, the richness, the depth, and smoothing out some of that burn that you notice in the toasted makes it really enjoyable for me, even though it sacrifices some of the complexity. Let's go ahead and jump now to the toasted rye. What in the world? I feel as if these two products are switched, but I know they're not because I poured them out. But this is much sweeter and fruitier than I would have expected on the nose. For Jonathan to say that he picked floral forward ryes going into this, I can definitely see that. This smells fantastic. Raspberry, clean and vibrant raspberry notes, lemon sorbet, candied orange peel, honey, and these beautiful, elegant baking spices. A lot of times when I find maybe floral forward whiskeys, I feel like they have some elegant spice to combine with that. So maybe that's just coming from the base rye, but man, the spices are just wonderful in here. Let's go ahead and dive in on the palate. The most noticeable thing on the palate to me, compared to maybe other toasted Indiana ryes that I've had, it's really just the mouthfeel. It's thick, it's gorgeous. However, the flavors to follow, to me, are pretty usual suspects. Big citrus notes, kind of a lemon oil note, toasted vanillas, but then immediately a really nice oak presence. A lot of warming spices here. While it gave a lot of sweet candied fruit notes on the nose, it definitely lets you know it's a rye the longer it kind of tingles and spices on the palate. It lingers long and trailing, prickling and sticking to the gums as you take it down. Delicious, rolling toffee and rich spices. Man, this is pretty daggone tasty. I'm enjoying both of these toasted expressions. And again, that comes from somebody who doesn't always get the opportunity to say that when it comes to toasted products. Now, again, they are toasted. You'll notice that. And so, yeah, I feel like you're gonna have to like that if you're gonna be picking these up. But for people who are already enjoying the blends coming out of K-Luke, expect wonderful blends already, and then have a toasted version of them. That's what these two are. Another great addition to the portfolio for the folks at K-Luke. Thanks again, as always, for tuning in to another video, guys. I hope this was insightful. Hope it was informational to you. Hopefully you watched this before seeing they're available on Seelbach. Maybe inform your decision whether you want to pick one of these up or not. Again, like I said in the beginning, let me know if you've tried any K-Luke, what your thoughts have been about them down in the comments below. Let me know if there's other things you want to hear me talk about here on the channel. Love to make sure I'm bringing content that you're interested in hearing about. Until next time, everybody, we'll see you all later.